Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So as many of you all know, Jaron Ennis has now signed a deal with Matchroom Promotions. And we did a video on that earlier today. Some of you agree with the move, some of you do not. Personally, I think it's a good move for Jaron Ennis in terms of activity. When you look at some of the names that's over there on Matchroom Promotion, there is an opportunity potentially for him to unify at welterweight if individuals like Conor Ben get the opportunity to win welterweight titles in the future. That opportunity does exist. I do question whether or not Matchroom can make him a superstar, but we can debate that in the comment section on the other video. Now, Terence Crawford is a subject matter that came up in an interview for Jaron Ennis. Now, a lot of people debate whether or not Jaron Ennis has had the opportunity to face Terence Crawford in the past and squandered that opportunity. Some people like to talk about the WBO route. I've already killed that narrative. Terence Crawford, when he defended his title against Sean Porter as the WBO super champion, he had 18 months to defend against another mandatory. Jaron Ennis didn't become the number 2 behind Virgil Ortiz until after that fight, which meant even if he did have the opportunity to petition the WBO, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to face Terence Crawford until 2023, May of 2023. That was exactly 18 months after Sean Porter, which meant he would have waited 18 months to petition for the opportunity. IBF ordered the eliminator between him and Castillo Clayton back in January of 2022, so he had the option to either become an interim champion for the IBF or wait for the opportunity to petition the WBO in hopes that they will allow him to face Terence Crawford. By the way, Terence Crawford, almost 2 years later, still hasn't defended his WBO title. Let that sink in. And then other people like to talk about BLK Prime, who is an entity who's only thrown one fight or promoted one fight, the David Avanesian fight, and haven't been able to promote a fight since then. Somehow I believe that was really a fight that was on the table for Jaron Ennis back in January 2023 when Terence Crawford was initiating negotiations again with Errol Spence. So I don't know why people believe that this was the case for Jaron Ennis. There was never a time in which Jaron Ennis had the opportunity to face Terence Crawford. It doesn't exist. Now, with that being said, I don't believe that Terence Crawford has ducked Jaron Ennis. I don't believe Jaron Ennis has ducked Terence Crawford. But I do believe now that there is an opportunity for Jaron Ennis to face Terence Crawford. Jaron wants to fight, but Terence Crawford doesn't seem to be very anxious to take on this fight. And what you hear a lot in the comment section, even in videos where we're not even talking about Terence Crawford, but for some reason, people are in the comment section still talking about Terence Crawford. As a matter of fact, today when we did a video on Jaron Ennis signing with Matchroom, there were people in the comment section talking about Bud Crawford, which is interesting. And one of the things that they talk about constantly is the fact that Jaron Ennis isn't more vocal in calling out Terence Crawford. And one thing, I don't even remember who it was, but it was somebody, I believe, during our live call, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. So if you get the opportunity, make sure you check us out. But they mentioned that Bernie the Boxer talked about every man has an ego, so that's the best way to get that opportunity, call him out. That's a fair argument, and I'm about being fair. That's a fair argument. Jaron Ennis is not as vocal as you would like someone to be if you want the opportunity to get into the ring with a fighter, and I just think that that's his personality. But he's getting more vocal. I'm gonna play a clip from Jaron Ennis in a recent interview that he had since he signed his contract, and let's see what Jaron Ennis had to say in regards to Terence Crawford.
I'm not sure if Terence Crawford wanted to fight or not. You know, he went out publicly a few times saying that he not looking my direction, he not looking my way. I'm not a big enough name. I'm not this, I'm not that. But there's nobody else left for him to fight. Either you fight me or you fight nobody. So I don't know.
If it's not Terence, you must have a hit list.
So that is what Jaron Ennis had to say. If you don't fight me, I mean, there's nobody else left to fight. So if you don't fight me, like, who is it that you're going to fight, right? And those are as stronger words that you're going to get from Jaron Ennis. He's just not the type. I mean, he didn't talk. When you talk about Jaron Ennis and people are trying to paint him as somebody that's not being very vocal about Terence Crawford, and that is rationale for why they say that he doesn't want to fight, but yet they'll say that he wanted to fight Errol Spence, and that's why he quote unquote took the IBF route. But then when you think about it, he wasn't very vocal about Errol either. He wasn't calling Errol out frequently, and every time you turn around they were talking about. He mentioned that they always said they wanted the top names and always said that they wanted to fight the top guys, whether it was Errol, Keith, Ugas, Terrence. It said all those guys' name equally. So it wasn't like he had more energy towards fighting Errol Spence, even though he quote unquote took the IBF route. That's just the nature of this kid. He's not a vocal guy like that. He's not a type of guy where he's going to be very just vocal about who he wants to fight and talk a lot of trash and try to get up under a fighter's skin in order to make a fight. It's just not who the kid is. He didn't do that with Errol. The most he did was after the Castillo-Clayton fight. You know, he talked a little trash to Errol from the side when Errol was ringside. From the ring, he talked a little trash to Errol. But my guess is, even if that had been Bud, he would have done the same thing. But after the fight, you didn't really hear him talking about Spence to any great degree, like really calling him out or saying he's scared or anything of that nature. Really trying to get up under his skin and get him in the ring. That's not who he is. That's not how he operates. That's not how he moves. So, but he is to the way that he calls people out. That's what he's doing. He's basically telling them there's no one else. And I agree. We did a video a few months ago where we said there's not a whole lot of names out there. And when you think about Sebastian Fundora, even if Terence Crawford does get the opportunity to fight Sebastian Fundora and Errol Spence doesn't skip the line and jump him, man, Sebastian Fundora isn't a big name. Yeah. Like Ennis has been on I won't call him a co-main, but he was a part of Gervonta Davis card, which means he has more exposure than Sebastian Fundora, or at least equal exposure to Sebastian Fundora. I mean, Jaron Ennis' name is just as popular, and I would say is actually more popular than Sebastian Fundora. And if he were to get that opportunity, he would rake in just as much money. If Terence Crawford is trying to figure out a way to make a fight with, I can't think of the gentleman's name right now, but he's at 154, and he's trying to work through the Saudis to make that fight happen, then why can't you work through the Saudis to make a fight with Jaron Ennis? If that's the case, because many of us would love to see the fight with Jaron Ennis, and I'm pretty sure the Saudis would like to see that fight as well. So that's all I'm saying. But people are going to get upset with me about this video. They're going to be pissed off about this video because of what Jaron Ennis said. I'm just bringing it to you guys. Don't get mad at me in the comment section because I'm bringing you what Jaron Ennis is saying. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and I am out.